Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video, we're gonna cover how to backtest properly. Before we just jump right into the chart, we're gonna also build a risk management plan for the backtest session, right? Now, this will depend on you, on your objective, right? But before every backtest session you'll start, you need to have specific rules. You need to have a specific risk management plan, right? So first thing you're gonna do before starting a backtest session, always create your risk management plan, right? So you need actually to make clear which session you're gonna trade. Now this will depend a lot on your routine. I suggest you to trade the whole day. Even let's say if your average routine, you're able to trade, let's say, all in New York or London, right? Because the market behaves in the same way. If you're trying just to backtest and see how the concepts are made and basically just having more experience for your eyes and your mind, you can trade the whole session, even if you're not able to trade them in your average routine. But if you want, let's say, a more realistic aspect of backtest, I will suggest you to make it tied up for your own personal routine, right? So for example, if you're only able to trade New York inside of your day, just backtest only into a New York session, right? This will build at least a little confidence because you're gonna have all the data you're gonna get are gonna be based on something that then you can apply because it makes no sense if you're trying to build, let's say, an average win ratio following the past days and you trade London and New York, but in reality you'll be able to trade only one of them. Obviously your win ratio will be different, right? So this will depend a lot on your purpose of the backtest, right? So also why we should backtest and what actually backtest is useful for. So I recommend you to start backtesting if you want to see concepts. So for example, let's say you go over the course and you take every single topic. So for example, let's go over ranges. You finish this topic through the course. What I do recommend is just go to the backtest and just try to find ranges. Right. First, you're gonna start looking at the common pattern. So basically train your eyes to see this pattern, understand the logic that comes behind it, and then tie everything up and understand how a range works, how the range cycle works, right? The backtest offers you the opportunity to see multiple examples on a very short amount of time. This is very fundamental. This will boost a lot your understanding of the strategy. If you're a beginner or you just, let's say, you want to try to find your missing piece, right? So go over every topic since you're a beginner or you just want to get more into and try to find this missing piece and backtest every single concept at first by his own and then try to tie up everything together. You will see multiple examples and they are fundamental, right? Because the theory is always the range, is all, let's say, the PI, the liquidity, and whenever argument and topic mentioned to the course. But the thing you need to train and you need to see a lot of different chart examples is because the market is going to be different, but only in the way that he appears. You can resize and refine every single chart scenario you come into this simple formula, right? Into a range. We have specific types of range, as you know, T1 and T2 range with internal or without internal range equity that behaves in different ways. And the only way you're gonna be able to understand them is just put the logic into the chart examples, right? So that's a main reason I'll suggest you to backtest. If you're still struggling, go for a backtest session. Don't focus on catching trades, focus on understanding how the market works, how the rain cycle works, and every single concept inside this or the course works. Right? You can also do backtest if you want to get data about an average win ratio you can get. So you can just go through the charts, find your risk management plan that will show you how to build inside of this video and go for a couple of days. Backtest for a couple of days or a couple of sessions. Now, what I do recommend is just do a single day. If you're more focused on intraday mastery, like for example, like me, and you want basically just to ping pong, do a single day. The main reason is that as you saw all over my backtest video, you're gonna be tired if you do this kind of intraday mastery because you're gonna get involved on a lot of thoughts on a very little amount of time, right? Because basically you can just keep time through the replay tool. So what I do recommend, take a day, take let's say for example the whole day right before Asia ends and go before Asia start of the next day. That's what I do recommend. Because if you, let's say, you're gonna do intraday mastery for, let's say, 3 to 4 days of backtest, and you trade every single session, try to ping pong, you're gonna be tired and you're gonna put yourself onto a very unrealistic situation, right? Because in reality, you'll never trade 3 days in a row. You're not gonna be able to do all of this stuff in this very short amount of time. So basically, you're gonna put yourself onto a very unrealistic scenario, and we have to avoid this. So take it by a day. Also, taking a day is pretty realistic, to be honest. Obviously, because you can just keep, let's say, 2 sessions or even the whole day in just a matter of minutes. Let's say 1 hour, 2 hours of backtest. By the end of the day, you can just take your time and think, and that's what is recommended too. Be able to recognize the pattern that the market makes and just be able to see and think which setup you would like to take. Be honest with you. Don't cheat. Don't chase the risk redeem. Focus mainly when you do backtest on understanding. Right? That's the main fundamental you have to look for. It doesn't matter if you cheat, you're not gonna be able to understand nothing. So be honest with you. There is no key to it. If you, let's say, you don't take a setup, don't think why you should take it. If you don't see it, you will never take it. You can go and, let's say, find your missing piece about this setup that can be for sure into multiple setup that you miss, right? So that's why it's useful. You can just use it to find your missing piece. And you have to take the time to study. I recommend you journaling. So for example, break down every single setup and try to find what makes it common, what is high probable for you, for your eyes and your mind to see. Which one is the pattern you see more frequently? At the end of the day, if you do this for a long period of time and you compare this with forward test that we're also going to cover onto another video, you're going to be able to find the best setup for you. You're going to find your high probable setup, right? So how do we can start to actually build our risk management plan? Right, you have to think and imagine if you do a trading view. So basically, you don't have a balance. Basically, try to open, let's say, a notepad and imagine that you have an account. Right, for example, let's say you imagine you have 1,000 account. Think about a good risk management plan. I suggest you to risk the 1% if you're actually backtesting. So basically, even if you occur onto losing streak, you're not gonna be able to be down some percentage. So start with 1% and think about you risking always the 1%, right? So basically, you're risking $10 a trade. It doesn't matter the actual value, right? Because now you start thinking percentage. It doesn't matter if they are 10, 100, or even $1,000, right? Because you're basically testing and understand your average risk redeem out of here. That's why you should focus on risk redeem, or in other words, percentage. And the main thing will be the understanding, the knowledge. Focus on that mainly, and then you see that the risk redeem will appear, right? So start by doing this, take a note. Don't focus, let's say, on the amount of money. Let's say, for example, you take a 1 of 5 and you go to take profit. Just write plus 5% or 5R. I recommend you to write 5R so you don't get confused. And let's say you take a loss. Just write -1, right? Because every loss is going to be 1%. And basically you have to multiple your actually average risk redeem. So basically you're 1 for your risk redeem. So that's why you get 5 and why you get -1 every time you lose a trade, right? So that will be how you can build your risk management plan for the backtest session. At the end of the day, let's say you go over an intraday mastery. So let's say inside of a day, you take, for example, 5 trades. You can get, let's say, your own table and you say you have your wins and you have a losses. So let's say, for example, you take +5, +6, and +5 again, and you take 2 losses, right? Then you break down, you calculate how much risk redeem do you make into this session, and that will be your your overall percentage for the whole backtest session, right? You're also gonna be able to understand your own win ratio for these data, but don't get focused too much into it because you took a short amount of trade. That's not how you build a win ratio. Our ratio is built to me at least over 100 trades, right? So you can basically take, let's say, data from this little backtest session, and once you have enough, I recommend you anything less than 100 trades took from yourself. You can just get, let's say, your win ratio. That will be something like, let's say, for example, 60%, because you took actually 60 winning trades out of 100 trades, right? This will be an average for you, but don't get too attached to your back test results because they're going to be different when you forward test and also when you're actually trading a live or a funded account, because in back test, you don't feel anxiety and basically you can just skip the price. But when you're actually trading live, maybe you'll take a decision that can be forced by your mental and get trapped, right? So once now we have this, we can actually go to the chart. I'll show you exactly how it's done and how you can do it. So first thing first, you're gonna go over TradingView. Also about this software, I know some of you may use FX Replay. That's a platform that I do recommend. I'll show you real quick. So basically you can go here and search on Google FX Replay. That's it. So basically you can just register yourself, and as you can see, you have a lot of options when you actually do to backtest. It's powered by TradingView. I tried a couple of times. This software is very useful because as you can see, you can just place your trade, calculate your risk redeem, take partials, put break even, and do a lot of things. So basically you're gonna experience something more real about position management. So if you want, just give it a try. So you decide to do it on TradingView. That's is what basically I do recommend it to, because there is no need to go for external software. But let's say you want something more realistic, you can go over it. That will be done in the same exact way, right? So first info, you're gonna take a pair that you don't trade usually. So I usually trade Euro USD. So basically GEO, I trade I think two times a year. So I can go over it. Now make sure that you have turned off the auto option on your chart, right? You go, let's say, to the 1 minute and you click to a high time frame. I suggested to do this with the daily. Now, when you click to the daily, you're gonna see the chart like this. So basically, you can gather any sort of information. Take the actual Ripley tool and put it whatever you feel, right? So for example, let's say I place it right here on a random point. Then you can just adjust it. And now you're ready to backtest. Now, either me and you knows how GU will actually end up to, and you have to find it. Now, when you go for intraday mastery, don't look to the daily, because let's say we go to the 1 hour and we just want to get our bias, so let's say the 15-minute. Market will always make you at the end of the day if you do this on the daily. So you have basically to let your Asia finish, and now you should just be ready to do your backtest. The only downside for this is you cannot go to the daily, right? Because if you go to the daily, is going to show the whole daily move of the actual day you're in. So pay close attention to it. I suggest you to don't go over it and just mark up your analysis before the actual current day ends for the next day, right? Now you can just do your own things, do your backtesting, and go through your whole analysis. I do recommend you to use these things. They're placed. Never use it, honestly. You can just do everything with your notepad if you want to, or just go with FX replay. Right, so that's basically how you can backtest properly into the market. And that's all. So quick resume, build your trading plan. But before actually building your trading plan, you have to understand why you're doing backtest. What's the purpose? Are you actually to try to get a win rate? Are you just to try to backtest some concept? Are you just trying to build a little bit of knowledge, tying everything up? Right, find your purpose and then actually do the backtest. If you're, let's say, trying to get a win ratio, create your risk management plan and execute. Take your notepad, journal, and at the end of the backtest, review everything and find what's your missing piece, what you can implement, what you should do. Right, this is different. It will become on you. This is different. It will depend on you, right? So that's how you can backtest properly. I hope you all enjoyed. That's all for this video. See you until the next one.